Recorded August 2nd, 2023. Good afternoon, Andrea. Good afternoon, Roderick. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Edward.
Everybody okay?
Yeah, afternoon. Yeah, it's like right on the edge
I mean, if
of
you're in the
evening
South,
for me.
it's supper time, right? It's time for
Yeah.
supper.
We do have someone else on the podcast this
Yes.
eve this and it's past his bedtime. What time is it, Henry?
11. It's 11.
Oh, that's nothing. Sorry.
Well,
You said you were tired. I thought. Okay.
so good evening, Henrik. Thanks for coming on the show. For our listeners who are not familiar, Henrik is part of the private preview, and as an award for his contribution to the private preview program, uh, he got to choose a show to come on, and he chose our show. So we really appreciate him coming on.
Yeah. We
wasn't that
probably
hard.
should have done some kind of psychological profile beforehand because of that. But
Yeah, but no, Andrea's subtitle says, "Is it only Wednesday?" What day would you like for it to be, Miss Fisher?
I would like it to be Friday. It's just been I swear, I feel like I have lived, 72 hours in, that doesn't make any sense because it's been 72 hours. I feel like I've lived a whole week in the last 3 days. How about that?
I've had those weeks, but knock on glass, this hasn't been one of them. I actually feel like I've been doing a lot of productive stuff. But other than living in a decreased time space continuum, what else have you been doing?
Oh, I've been doing, I do a little newsletter for my customers every week, and I try to pull in little things that people might not know about what's going on. So I did that this week, talked to them about, for people who don't know, there's a fantastic new conditional access policy that you can apply specifically to Microsoft portals. So if you want to have extra MFA requirements on, security.microsoft.com or the Intune portal or the Azure portal, there's now a much easier way to do that. So I was working on that. What else have I been doing? Working on some training for the security TSs this year. That's about it. What have you been up to?
Well, for the listeners who are not aware, I was part of the reorg, and I'm on a new team. So we will choose an episode, either engineers or program managers from the new team that I'm on, to talk about it. If I can't get them, I'll talk about it. But I'm still a GBB, but now my technology coverage is going to be around Defender for Experts, both the MDR, managed MDR, yes, as well as Defender for Experts hunting. Um, it warrants an episode in itself. If you're listening and take notes, just go look it up. I haven't forgot the other things I've learned, right? So I'll still bump into Sentinel, and I'll still bump into all the Defender stuff, because our product is to take advantage of those particular security workloads that are in that. That's on a business note. On a personal note, I've been at war. There's been an invasion at my house because these hornets had decided to build a basketball size nest on the front of my house, and I can't understand why I didn't see it. When I come back from a run every day, I generally look at the front of my house. It was so well camouflaged. It looked like it was part of the house, right? It was the same color. And then you notice it's sort of off. I sent the video. Did you guys see the video of the bee guy that went out there to blast them? Right. Of course,
Yeah.
me being a man, I was gonna tell the wife, hold my beer, I'll take care of it. She's like, no. So I had to get that thing off the side of my house. It's summer here. The day was a nice, cool 85 degrees.
the humidity's been down. Yeah.
Humidity's been down, right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
Studying, coming up to speed. I'm selling services now, not necessarily a product or a widget. So that's a totally different conversation motion. And I'm having to I'm gonna have to go back and retrain some of those muscles. But I'm excited about the product. It really has my interest about how can you position this. And one of our prior guests on it is advising me on it, because I did not know they were a consumer of the product.
So you can't actually tell us what it is yet. You just
let's say
We can
before the
wait.
show, yeah,
We can wait. We can
just think that Microsoft will put somebody in your environment that will just constantly look over your shoulder for anything that may happen and respond to it. And I'll tell you why that service exists and where in the competitive market that it leans against other competitors, right? So I want to make sure I get my talk track correctly on the show. Hopefully I can get someone from the Defender for Experts CXC team to come on, but if they don't, I'll do it. We'll see. That's all I've been doing.
I'd be happy with either one of those. That'd be great.
Because
I'm really interested in that. I'm really interested in that too. Well, I don't think there's anything I'm not interested in except maybe the Barbie movie. So.
Why are you hating on Barbie?
Because it's really easy to get on Andrea's nerves that way.
Don't you have like 4 daughters?
2 daughters. Last count, yeah.
Last count. Okay. Yeah. All right, that's all what about you, Roderick, other than being a Barbie hater?
I'm not a Barbie hater. Little anecdote, growing up, for whatever reason, my sister, just 2 of us, myself, so we, 2 kids, my family. I didn't turn out to be a sadistic person, but as a kid, I don't know why. Well, I do know why. When I was really young, my aunt chased me around her house with these dolls that were about the same size as I was at the time. I'm like 5 or 6 years old, and they just scared the crap out of me. So my sister had lots and lots and lots of Barbies and doll babies and stuff, and I would always just kind of pull their heads off for whatever reason, and just leave them there. I turned out to be okay. I didn't actually do that in real life.
You turned out to be okay is subjective.
Well, yeah, it just depends on who you ask.
Do we need to check your backyard for bodies? Just because you tell us that, I don't know.
Yeah, because all of a sudden he wants to move. I have to move right away.
Yeah, I need to move. So what did I do? So if you're those that were here last week, remember I was in Denver on Friday. That was awesome. Denver heat was the exact same as it was in Ohio, so like 98, 99 degrees, but there was no humidity in Denver, so it was absolutely amazingly pleasant. We were able to eat food out on the deck and stuff like that. This week, I also started a new series I'm giving, AI security, the must-learn treatment. Started that this week. Just yesterday, kicked off with like the first chapter, and it's a little over 5,000 people view it already. So there is interest there, and people wanting to learn how to secure artificial intelligence, and it's going to be kind of an evolving thing. Last thing is, I know I've been talking about this MyRod bot for a while, this little bot of mine. Started today working on integrating it with our MDTI API. So not only is MyRod bot really extremely smart with KQL, but here shortly, it'll be able to utilize some of the same services that Security Copilot will be able to access. And I'll do some blog posts and stuff on how to accomplish that.
Okay. Must learn AI security.
Yep. aka.ms/must-learn AI security.
I'm sure you'll put it in the chat.
I probably will. We also have Henrik. Henrik is here, and I know it's past his bedtime, so maybe we should allow him to introduce himself. And what have you been doing this week, Henrik?
Yeah, I just got back from vacation, so I'm trying to get back in the game, but I can introduce myself. My name is Henrik Wojcik, and I work as a senior cloud specialist at an awesome company called Bankdata in Denmark, in Europe. It's a developer company, which are operating in the banking sector. So we actually, we do banking stuff for banks, which own us. So it's really exciting. It's a regulated sector. So we have a lot of compliance talk all the time. And what I actually have been doing the last 2 days, when I got back, was I've been looking into Defender for Identity on Monday with some troubleshooting sync alerts with the domain controllers. And I actually looked into something, Matt, which is gonna come on in a moment, with automation playbooks from Defender for Endpoint over in Sentinel, when the machines get high alerts, malware, ransomware, and stuff like that. So they automatically isolate the device. That's what I've been doing the last 2 days. Yeah, I jumped right into it. I know.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I remember not too far in the past, automation and isolating machine could consider to be a pink slip evolution if you did it wrong. But now it seems to be acceptable to allow a non-human to go in and make a decision,
Yeah.
a non-organic responder to come in and do those things, right? So that shows a little bit of evolution and trust of the thing, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to do it. You can't burn people out, right? So being able to automate that stuff is pretty good. I gotta get more into it. I don't want it, my 365 skills and stuff to sort of go soft because I'm doing this other thing. So I'll do some of that too. But hey, without further ado, we're at 5:15. Unless anyone has anything else, we have a guest and a friend of the show. He's been on before. I was excited to hear that he was coming on. Actually, I was talking about him last week, um, and bumping him and what he has chosen as a new endeavor post Microsoft. So let's go ahead and get our guest on. I don't see him. Let's get him in here.
Matt, you're here, right?
Matt Soseman.
I'm here. Can you see me?
I can see you now.
Yeah.
Matt Soseman. What's
Great
up,
to
brother?
see you guys.
Yeah, I was talking about you
Reunion.
last week. I was talking about you last week in Inspire.
Yeah.
And I was doing one of my presentations. I brought up just like a background silhouette of your company to all the partners. So this was all the partners in Atlanta area or surrounding states. They do these micro inspires, and so I had a lot of these partners came up like, well, I really don't know, how to do this. What I'm, what I really should be leveraging E5 against for myself and my customers as I build IP and stuff. And I quickly brought them and said, you need to go here. And then and one of the partners, she absolutely bumped for you too. Kim and Orange Tech, I believe. So she was there. And
Okay.
then one more person, Mr. Jeff Engel from the CEO of Conquest. He was there.
Yeah.
And he remembered
Oh
you.
yeah.
Yeah, he remembered you.
I
So
love Jeff. Yeah.
what you been up to, man?
It's been a whirlwind of 4 or 5 months, however long it's been. So left Microsoft in mid-March. Actually, sorry, end of March. Went to go start a new company. And it's been, I'll tell you guys all about it, but it's been an amazing journey. Never thought I would ever leave Microsoft. Spent 11 years there, and I thought that was home. And then all of a sudden, I got this kind of entrepreneurial idea. I'm like, this is it. I gotta take a bet. You only live once. Just do it. And it's been incredible. So I went to go start a company with a good friend of mine. Fast forward now to August 2nd. We've got 10 employees. Got a ton of partners that we work with. We could talk more about it, but it's been amazing. So that's what I've been up to. Trying to get back into YouTube. I haven't posted YouTube videos in a while. I need to get back into it. But it's been a blast here the past few months. And I'm back with all my good friends. So great to see you guys.
Yeah.
Such a treat.
Yeah. We haven't forgotten about you. We're like, hey,
Thank
what's
you.
Matt up to these days? And always we could kind of find you, with your latest videos, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit more difficult now, but I'm sure it's because you're busy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, entrepreneur and ownership will do that to you. But so we've not really talked about what the partner masters do, and we don't want to steal your thunder. You're the master of the partner. So tell us what was in your head to say, you know what, I'm going to go do this. And I know that you and I worked together on the partner side at Microsoft for a while.
Yeah.
And so you go into this, it didn't. I was more surprised that you left Microsoft than I am surprised that you were going to start this thing. I think you and I might have talked about this years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about it. What's going on?
So the best way to describe this is I like to use the analogy of taxes. So if you want to save money on your taxes, you could literally go out to the IRS website and download like an 8,000 page document. It tells you all about the tax code, or you can just call a CPA. And so if you think about that in Microsoft terms, Microsoft makes a wealth of information available online at no charge for free. You just got to know where to find it. I mean, all you guys know this, right? I mean, there's so much information out there. You just got to know where to look, how to read it, how to analyze it, or you could just call us. And so that was kind of the idea behind the company is there's 400,000 Microsoft partners out there in the world, and there's less than 500 or so that's actually managed by Microsoft. And so there's all of these other partners that they need help. Microsoft partners, ISVs, system integrators, managed service providers. They need help not only with how to be a Microsoft partner, how to maximize incentives, how to be the best partner they can be, but also technology. And Andrea and Ed and I, we used to work on a partner team together at Microsoft, and and Henrik, you're a partner, and so for a lot of partners out there, they also need help with, well, how do we go take advantage of Copilot? How do we go make money with this thing? How do we go build IP that runs in Azure? All of these different technology things, and so we got this idea of, look, I spent 11 years at Microsoft. My business partner, Justin Slagle, he spent 10 years at Microsoft. And then the rest of our staff, they all are former Microsoft. We got this idea of, let's just go start a company and help empower partners to achieve more and help them with all the business sides of working with Microsoft. So how do you co-sell? How do you maximize your incentives? How do you really partner with Microsoft? And on the technology side, how do we go and innovate with all the latest and greatest technology that Microsoft is releasing, but how do we go make money with it? And so that's kind of the idea behind the Partner Masters is really managing these partners and helping them through, frankly, increasing their bottom line with the Microsoft stack and being a great partner back to Microsoft. And so it's like that IRS analogy. You can go read all the documentation on Microsoft Learn. You can go out to partner.microsoft.com. You can go to Inspire, or you can just call us and we'll help guide you through it. So that's the idea of the company.
So that's super interesting because I think, and Matt, you and I talked about this before. I think that even within MISA, right, the Microsoft Security Association, we have a lot, and I get emails periodically from these partners that I'm friends with, and they'll say, "Hey, can you find this thing for me?" or "Can you connect me with a person that can help me do this at Microsoft?" We really don't have those people.
Yeah.
I can try my best, but it's going to kind of fall along the wayside, and I feel bad about it. But this is something that you kind of take on as the partner master, right? These
Correct.
smaller companies that they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the time to go find and locate this stuff. They're coming to me, and I'm going, I can't do this, So this is a great service.
Yeah, it's all the above. I mean, we're working with partners of all sizes. I mean, we have a partner that has 800,000 employees, and then we have a partner that has 2 employees.
Huh.
And so they're just kind of all over the map, and they're all in different journeys in their partnership. But it kind of hit me. I at one point I worked in engineering for Azure Active Directory, and I was working with ISVs, and we'd go out and do these amazing integrations with these ISVs on Azure Active Directory. Incredible stuff. But then once we did the integration, it's like, well, now what, right? How do we go drive the business? How do we go drive sales? And so there wasn't I mean, MISA program exists and there's some great benefits of that, but there's not really another handoff to go and do all the co-selling or go drive that integration you just did, right? And so that was kind of the aha moment that I got of, partners do need help, and they need help once they do an integration if you're an ISV, or once you go out and create a managed service or a consulting service, how do you actually go and drive the business? And that's kind of the genesis of it. And then the technical side as well, right? There's a lot out there that partners can capitalize on, frankly, make money with in terms of Microsoft technology. And so helping them figure that out and help them navigate that. And then here's all the incentive programs and all the co-sell programs and everything else that gets wrapped around that. And that's the idea.
Well, Matt, I mean, this has clearly been a need for partners for years. I mean, when you really think about it, what made you decide to just jump in and fill this niche? I mean,
yeah. When I look at Microsoft's mission statement, it's empower every person, every organization on the planet to achieve more. Amazing mission statement. Empowering partners is just as important. And when you have 400,000 partners in the world, it's hard to scale to that. And Microsoft can't hire full-time employees to go out and manage 400,000 partners. You just can't scale. So you have to only manage a few partners, and then the rest you have to deliver scale programs. But what forced me to kind of go do this now is just seeing and talking to partners out there that are even managed and unmanaged. They just need help navigating how to partner with Microsoft. They need help with understanding this Copilot thing. How do I go and make money with it? How do I plan for it? How do I get the data ready? They just need help. and finally, that's when I said, you know what? I only live once. I'm going to be 40 soon. If I don't do anything now, I'm never going to do it. And so I thought, you know what? I'm gonna roll the dice here, and I'm going to go do this. And so far, it's been very successful, and it's been working out. But the other side of it, though, too, is Microsoft did take away a lot of the partner benefits. Like there used to be a phone number, a 1-800 number you'd call. There used to be an email address. That's no longer there. And so if you're a partner that you need help, there's no one for you to call.
Yeah. And it's important, I think, particularly for times like these when the economy is, kind of on the brink, it's iffy back and forth. For a company like Microsoft, I've always partners are our best benefit during economic, because the partners can take these things that we develop and deploy them and do a much better job than the resources that we have, right? So that's
And one more kind of interesting thing that I've been thinking about lately is just mentioning the economic times. There's a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah.
And when you look at the Great Recession of 2008, and even previous recessions over previous decades, that's when innovation happens. And so if you look at it from that perspective, and you look at what's happening now with AI, and you look at what's happening with even cybersecurity, there's a ton of opportunity out there. And being former Microsoft and having to work with all of you, and then just developing my skill set and my team skill set, we think we can go out there and help those partners capitalize on making the best of these opportunities, whether it's AI or helping customers save money with what they already own, helping them go out and build new apps and services, whatever it may be. Now's the time. And so especially with AI, and we just saw it inspire all the announcements and all the great news, now's the time to go out and do that. But again, we want to help partners navigate that and help them figure out that journey and that path, and we think we can.
So you say you'll be 40 soon?
I'll be 40 soon.
I think we need to. Henrik, how old are you?
42.
So Matt, you're the youngest person on the podcast today.
No, baby. You said 40. I like 40. Wow. I wish I was 40.
And Edward asked earlier, what made you, take this big step? Well, it's your youth. You still have the energy. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said, like, if I don't do it now, I don't think I'll ever do it.
Yeah.
You only live once, right? And so, you want to build a good life and look back on it and think, yeah, I made a difference. I made a change. I did something I was passionate about. And Ed and Andrea know, I've always been passionate about partners and technology and security. And, I spent 11 years at Microsoft, 11 damn good years, best years of my life. What's that next chapter in my book? And, there's never a good time to do anything, whether it's have kids, get married, or start a new, company. But I figured just do it.
Are you saying you did them all at once?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Big brain, next thing you know, 10 years from now, Microsoft have totally outsourced the partner program. Your company runs partners for Microsoft. Just saying. not telling anybody to go, you're like, you know what? How about we just take all of this and via acquisition, of course, they'll just buy you up, right? That's what they do.
I mean, it's amazing. Like there's a partner we started working with. It's a 2-man company. We didn't even know if he could, afford our services, and he decided to move forward with us. And now he's already getting massive 6-figure deals from Microsoft. He's getting referrals from Microsoft. All the wheels are spinning, and all we had to do is kind of, guide him through the process, right? And work with him on the technical side and on the business side. And like, that's the fun part, is being able to look back on that and say, wow, we impacted this guy. It's him and his wife that run this small partner company. We had a huge impact on him. And so that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, like being able to make a change and look back on, what you've accomplished in your life. That's the cool part.
Well, I love when people can take their passion and do something with it. That's just, that's a great story.
I love people who know what their passion is.
Yeah.
So, Matt, are you focused on a particular, engagement, lane? I know that evidently size is not a requirement, right? If you got 2 a two-person company, 8,000, but are you hyper focused on security partners, AI partners, power partners, or is yours just enabling them to say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to operate better as a partner overall, get your stuff
Yep.
together, streamline, so whatever discipline that you focus on, this is going to work for it?
Yeah, good question. So what's interesting is when I was at Microsoft, and you guys kind of know how Microsoft works. Everybody's kind of in their lane. You know everything about your lane, but you don't necessarily know about the other lanes. I had kind of a privilege to work across multiple lanes, moving to different teams and whatnot. But I quickly learned that Partner Center is a center. It's the heartbeat of a Microsoft partnership. If you don't use Partner Center, you're never going to be successful with Microsoft. You can go out there on LinkedIn, you can comment on people's posts, and you can, try to network with Microsoft sellers and people in engineering. But unless you're using Partner Center, you're not going to be successful. And so our model is we start with Partner Center. So we start with things like, do you have solution designations? Do you have specializations? Are you associating yourselves to your customers? So if you're out there deploying Sentinel, are you doing partner admin link to tell Microsoft that you're actually associated to that customer? If that customer is on an enterprise agreement, Microsoft has no visibility that you're working with them on Sentinel. Same on the Microsoft 365 side. If you're out there doing Defender for Endpoint, are you doing a claiming partner of record, a CPOR claim to tell Microsoft, right? So we're looking at kind of the basics there, but then taking that a step beyond is, are you taking advantage of all the incentive programs? Ed and Andrea, you guys kind of remember the old workshops back in the day when we used to work together. Partner can go out and deliver a workshop on a security product and get paid by Microsoft to go do it. And so there's many programs like that across security, modern work, Azure, Dynamics, et cetera. Are you taking advantage of those programs? So it's looking at everything that's in Partner Center, including marketplace listings. Do you have a solution in the marketplace? It's a co-sell ready. Are you sending leads to Microsoft? Because in order to get leads from Microsoft, you need to send them leads. You need to be a good partner back to Microsoft. So we're looking at Partner Center. Are you doing all of these foundational things? That's kind of where we start. And then once we get the ball rolling on all those foundational things in Partner Center, then we move on to the more advanced things, like let's jump into technical solutions, this Copilot thing. Let's go take a look at developing a practice around that. Let's go take a look at Power Platform and see how we can do business process automation. Let's go do all the cool, sexy stuff. But that stuff won't work in your partnership unless you've built this foundation around Partner Center and using the tools that Microsoft makes available to you. So that's kind of the starting point. And then we move on, from there. And that's the interesting part, because when you start to look at like the incentive programs, and they're getting ready to change here again, they change every October. But trying to navigate that, again, it's just like taxes. But it's all online. You can go look it up.
Look it up.
But you guys know, it's very hard to analyze this stuff. And Microsoft might do it by design, who knows. But, being able to navigate that's one thing, but then being able to understand like, okay, well, if I go talk to you about Sentinel, can I get paid by Microsoft to do that through maybe a workshop? If I migrate you from Splunk to Sentinel, is there incentive there for me as well? If I go in and manage that and I drive Azure consumed revenue, is there incentive there? So kind of bringing all that together is what we want to help them realize. Now, to answer your question on, do we have any specific focus on types of partners? No. It's literally anybody from, like that two-man shop I mentioned, all the way up to we have a partner that has 800,000 employees, massive global system integrator. It's just, helping them through that journey and then set up that foundation so we can go do the bigger and better things. Being a security guy, obviously I love working with partners that do security things. So that's fun, but it's also been fun kind of learning, new things. I'm getting into Power Platform, AI, some of those areas. But there's no specific type of partner. It's just, we're here to help any and all.
You were talking about when yourself, me, and Andrew, we all worked together. It's a blast from the past. We had most of the band together. We were at Inspire, so Ross was there.
Yeah.
Your name came out. Tim Wheatley was there. Meredith was there.
Oh yeah.
And then then the term came out that's probably led all of us to fame and fortune, was trifecta and superfecta. I'm going through your stuff and saying, do I see any trifecta stuff in this here? But that was something. I mean, it did well for all of us on that team, right? So, but yeah, you talked about passion. You talked about, hey man, it was now or never, or I love doing it. it can't all be roses and cold beer. Give me one of the challenges that has made you, and you may not want to admit this openly, but you may like,
Yeah,
what was I thinking?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I left on end of March, and the next day I woke up thinking, what in the bleep did I just do? Right? I mean, Microsoft's a great company, best company I ever worked for, and I worked for some bad ones. They treated me very well, right? Had a nice paycheck. I mean, you guys know the story. I woke up the next day thinking, tear came to my eye, like I kissed it all goodbye. I'm dismissing all my friends and relationships I built. I don't have a guaranteed income anymore. Like, what am I doing? I got to, luckily we don't have kids yet, but I am married. So how am I going to support my wife? She rides horses. How am I going to support the horses? So like all this stuff started going through my mind. How am I going to pay my mortgage? So when you own a business like that and you're starting out, life gets real fast. And there were some times over the last few months where, I'm like, wow. And then as we started hiring employees, any business owner out there watching this or listening, they'll agree with me. When you start hiring employees, now it's like I'm responsible for their livelihood. I got to pay them. I got to make sure they have insurance. I got to make sure they're happy at work. Like, and so there's that, right? And so kind of going through those trials and tribulations. And then because it's a small company, we have 10 employees, right? So I'm wearing the HR hat, I'm wearing the business owner hat, I'm wearing the technical hat, the IT hat. We onboarded 2 new employees this week, so I had to get like autopilot set up and password lists and all that stuff. So you're having to wear all the hats. So it's by no means is it easy, right? And there were some times where in the very beginning I asked myself like, what am I doing? But then I had to look at what I just told you guys, like what's the passion? Why am I doing this? And that kind of regrounded me. It's like, look, everything's going to work out in the end. It always does. But yeah, it's not easy. But fast forward now, I mean, things are absolutely better. And like any small business, you improve, you learn over time, you pivot, you try something, you fail, you go and try something different, it works. Sorry, I forgot what you asked, but that
was
off topic probably.
That was it. I just, entrepreneurship in any form or fashion. Everyone has tried it in some form or fashion. Everybody thinks entrepreneurship is big old business, glass office, and all this other stuff. It's the ability to go out and expend time into something that, yeah, you want to make money, but you want to make an impact on it too. It takes bravery, right?
Yep.
It's not easy, but it can be fulfilling. I know. So you were.
Why don't we let Henrik ask a question? We never
Yeah,
shut
please.
up. So Henrik, you are our guest.
Yeah.
Please.
Other than he just wants to sign up for Partner Masters right now.
Yeah, but I'm on the customer side, so I didn't even know all this stuff existed. But I will say this. I'm glad you stopped at Microsoft because you forgot YouTuber. You started your YouTube channel again with the morning walk videos where you walk and talk.
Yes.
Respect for that.
Yes.
I have a question about the sizes of the partners. Because as I recall, I heard somebody that you need to have a certain amount of people having the right certification, right, to get gold status and all that. Isn't it difficult for the 2-man company you just mentioned to get the same benefits like the other big company? Because I guess they can have more certifications.
It can be difficult, right? And so there are certification requirements, but that's where if you figure out like maybe a contractor model and an outsource model, and if those contractors have certifications, then they can associate with you and that can help contribute towards you earning those solution designations I talked about. So I mean, there's strategy and there's ways to navigate that. But yeah, there are certification requirements. And if you look at security, it's actually pretty extensive. It's probably the hardest of all of them, in my opinion, because of the amount of cert exams Microsoft makes you pass and how many people have to pass each one of them. So like if you look at the security solution designation, you got to get SC 200, you got to get SC 100, you get to take your pick between 400 and 300. You also need AZ 500, MS, like it's crazy. Whereas like the modern work one, you literally get like the Microsoft 365 fundamentals exam, and then you go take an online test for Teams meetings, and then like you're there, right? So it's, but hey, being a security guy, I kind of appreciate that. So,
oh, cool.
Yep. You mentioned my YouTube and my morning walks. I got to get back into it, but just kind of going back to passion, and maybe for anybody watching this, like I just started a business that you can do it at any time, obviously, but if you want to do a YouTube channel, if you want to do a blog, I mean, and Ed and Andrea and Rod know as well, like, now's the best time to do it than any other time. And like my genesis, and Andrea and Ed know this story, I used to write TechNet blogs, and TechNet went away. And the reason why I started doing TechNet blogs was, frankly, I got tired of repeating myself to customers. So customers would send me most of the time the same question. And I'm like, let me just maybe write an entire story here and send you the blog. And the cool part about it was that would circulate inside your company. And then it started to build awareness and knowledge. And then I started developing this brand. So then when when TechNet went away, YouTube started coming about. And I was like, well, wait a second, maybe I should start doing videos. And the point with the story here is that, going back to that passion, that personal satisfaction, what's cool about when I do the videos, I get folks like yourself, Henrik, and others that reach out and they're like, hey, that video, that helped me pass an exam. Hey, that video, that helped me prove to my boss that we need to do conditional access. Hey, that video, I didn't even know we owned that thing. Thanks for showing that to me, because now we're saving money. Like, I get all these messages on LinkedIn, and it's like, wow, that 2-minute video of me walking, and I didn't even know it would be watched. That actually helped somebody. That's what drove me. And that was like the kind of genesis of why do YouTube and why do the blogs, is really it's helped me scale in my role at my day job, but it's also helping people be successful. And like, that's the cool part. And you look at something like this podcast and like all the blogs and emails that Rod does, and Andrea and Ed, like, this is awesome because it really does change people's lives. And anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but
well,
you mentioned YouTube.
it's just about being able to share, and everybody needs to kind of be able to feel we're all in this together, whatever it happens to be. Everybody has a little bit of knowledge, and just that ability to share, you're building something that's greater than yourself.
Yep. We do have a question from Mr. Well, there you go, Jeff L.
And if he needs to supply a credit card number for this answer, just go ahead and say so.
We can do that.
Yeah. There's an art and a science to this. Again, it's just like taxes, right? So you used to have what were referred to as competencies, so gold, silver, cloud platform, yada yada, and it was fairly easy to attain. And then Microsoft changed it a couple of years ago. You have to have, now get a solution designation, and it's all about a score. So the score is around, how many net new customers have you added? Out of those net new customers, how many of them have you grown either monthly active usage or as you consumed revenue? And then skilling. Do you have people on staff that are skilled? And so all of that contributes to a score for you to achieve that solution designation. And there's even some announcements made at Inspire that made it actually a little more difficult to get that, to achieve those scores. I could probably take 3 hours and explain it, but Jeff, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help you out. But the interesting part I will mention, though, is remember there's 400,000 partners in the Microsoft ecosystem worldwide. 400,000 partners. So to Microsoft, they want to know who are the ones that stand out. Who are the ones that are the top gun class, best of the best, elite? Really, the only way you can do that is when you make programs like getting a solution designation somewhat difficult. And so there's pros and cons to it, right? And it's not easy for me to say, but that's kind of the reality of it is, how do you make it so that you know who the best is?
And how do you set yourself apart, right?
Correct.
How do you know how to set yourself apart?
Right.
That's a lead into your company, but
yeah, because there could be some inherited disadvantages for being small that sometimes big partners are just going to back into, especially if one of the metric.
Computer here. Sorry, I may have lost you for a minute.
No, I hear you.
I hear. Especially if the metric is number of skilled individuals. Like, if a company got 8,000 people, they're probably gonna have a lot of certified individuals. I'm sure Microsoft has had the intelligence to say that, yeah, you having 500 people certified to SE 100 doesn't get you 500 points. You get 1 point. to do that, right? So I actually don't know. I'm going to go look at it. I learned a lot doing the Inspire stuff. I totally forgot
Yeah.
how the partner stuff work. We started talking App Store. We started talking a couple other things too. That you're right. They're going to make some major announcements in October, which is going to be shake up.
So maybe one thing to mention, and then we get to, so for the question there, yes, we help partners in globally. So Europe and UK, absolutely. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, go to my website. There's a little contact form, however you want to do it, and we're happy to help. One thing that's really interesting is I saw some of this when I was at Microsoft, but when you get a solution designation, that's one thing. But then if you get a specialization, entirely different. And so a specialization is really the best. So if you look at the Azure specializations, especially, there's probably 20 of them. So there's a specialization for AI. There's one for Azure Virtual Desktop. There's one for whatever. Well, not only is there like Azure consumed revenue requirements, but there's an audit you have to pass. And so Microsoft sends in a third-party auditor. It's an 8-hour audit. They sit down with you for 8 hours, and they basically want to know, hey, you say you're the best of the best, prove it. Now, Microsoft publishes the checklist and what the auditor looks for. It's all online. You can find it. But if you read through it, it's things like, talk to me about your landing zone that you're setting up in Azure. Talk to me about how you're using Cloud Adoption Framework. Talk to me about how you're using architectural diagrams with your customers. Basically, show me how you're able to deliver said product. Maybe it's Azure Virtual Desktop. Show me how you're able to deliver that in a repeatable manner, at scale, with quality for every customer. And so it's very, very interesting when you think about these specializations, because you have to pass this audit. And if you pass it, there's only a few hundred partners in the world that have these specializations. And because they're so difficult to achieve, but you mentioned like standing out, that's another way to stand out. And so I just find it very interesting because Microsoft sends in this auditor to audit you. Now, for security, you don't have to go through that, the security specializations. It's a little easier, right? And like, Dynamics, you don't have to go through that, but Azure, you do. And so it opens up the door, though, for opportunities. So, for example, if all of us here worked at a partner and we get that Azure specialization, that opens up new funding programs for Microsoft, which is an entirely different conversation, but you got to qualify first. And so really Microsoft is saying, we want the best, and we'll reward the best, but you have to show us that you're the best. Simply telling us doesn't work. And it's very interesting when you start to break it down, you look at how this stuff really works.
Yeah, this is an interesting comment also, but from the listeners here. This is a piece of what you do. You help these partners become exceptional, so they are standouts, right? Is that kind of what the service is?
That's exactly it, right? And so, having been on the inside of Microsoft, and you guys know, like, I have to recommend multiple partners to a customer. I can't necessarily recommend a single. And so, I have to make sure I recommend good partners. But how do I know who's good? And this is a whole other kind of side conversation we could have. But, when you look at what constitutes as a good partner, you really want to know, like, are they a good partner back to Microsoft? Meaning, are they associating themselves? Are they sharing leads? Do they have solutions in the marketplace? Are they getting solution designations and specializations? Are they showing Microsoft that they can actually perform, right? Are they walking the walk rather than just talking the talk? And so that's kind of what we do at the Partner Masters, is helping them achieve all of those things and helping them operationalize it so that they can be a good partner back to Microsoft. And it sounds crazy, but when you have 400,000 partners in the world, it is a game, and it's something that not everybody will be able to do. Yeah. Just like taxes, right? Saying that you save money on your taxes is crazy, because it's really hard to save money on taxes. Like, there's some basic things you could do, like start a business, but some companies out there and some individuals pay $0 in taxes, and we all wonder, like, how in the world are they doing that? Well, they've got some really good advisors that are advising them. So same at the Partner Masters, right? For those partners out there, they're just executing with excellence and frankly kicking ass with Microsoft and their partnership and helping customers like Henrik. Those are partners that we've worked with and want to work with to help them be the best of the best. So like the audit, as an example, I had a partner, they want to get their Azure Virtual Desktop specialization. And so we're going to go through an audit prep session with them next week to make sure that they understand what's going to be covered in the audit and making sure that they have the practice behind it. So do you know how to do a landing zone in Azure? Do you know how to leverage cloud adoption framework, all of those things. So that's just an example of what we do. Anyway,
it's like certification prep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's another example, right? Like, you can go out there and read all the documentation for certification prep, or you can go watch some really good YouTubers out there. Like, I'll do a plug for John Seville, and you guys all know John. He's got some amazing content, and so his videos, he summarizes what you need to know. And there's always people commenting like, "Wow, your video helped me pass." All you have to do is get a score of 700, right, to pass. And John's videos does a great job at it. But that's the difference, right? You can either read all the documentation from Microsoft Learn, and there's thousands of pages, or you can watch his videos or buy the exam prep books and get what you need.
So you're doing the good work, but a lot of us are just very tactical in the way we thought. What are milestones that you could share to say, hey, rather than just bringing on more customers, let me change the question back. Do you have any competition?
Well, so the differentiator for us is 8 out of our 10 employees came from Microsoft. They've been on the inside. They know how this stuff actually works. So that's our main differentiator. There is a little bit of competition out there. Some of them may have been former Microsoft. Some of them may not have been former Microsoft. And I know who they are, and they know who I am. But we came from Microsoft. We know how this stuff actually works, right? But the other side, the difference here is the technical side. So like I mentioned, we start with Partner Center, and we start with building that foundation. But then once that foundation is set, the real work is the technical side. Let's go take Copilot. Any of the Copilots, Security Copilot, let's go build a practice on it. Let's go build a business on it. You have to have the technical know-how on how to do that. And that's really our differentiator, is the technical side of it. Another way to put it is when you, and Henrik, you may want to close your ears, but as a Microsoft partner, you can associate yourself to a customer. So if I'm a partner, I can associate myself to Henrik's company. I can see the usage of all of Henrik's licenses when I do that. So I can go in there, I can see, is Henrik using conditional access? Is he using Defender for Endpoint? Is he using Microsoft Information Protection? And if I see that he owns the license but not using it, I can then go start a conversation with him and go sell my services to help him adopt it. Well, you have to have as you guys know, you have to have the technical know-how on how to go have that conversation. You can't just go in and walk in to somebody and say, let's talk about Defender for Endpoint or Defender for Identity without having that technical know-how. So kind of answer your question, though, Ed, I mean, there is some competition out there, but we set ourselves apart from coming from Microsoft and having the technical know-how.
But there's also 400,000 partners.
But there's also 400,000 partners. And I would love to touch all of them, but I can't, right? Yeah. At least not yet.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you guys are fast in asking. How, as a customer, would I know the partners that are great? You just said, can I look them up on a site? Do I have to take the ones that won the award, Gold Partner 2022 or something?
Yeah.
How?
That's a great question. Like, how can you find good partners, right? There's a few things I would kind of think about and look for, and I'd love to hear Ed and Andrew and Rod's perspective on this. But my perspective is the track record, right? So I'm a security guy, so I'll use something like Sentinel as an example. If you're a customer and you need help with Sentinel, you probably want to find somebody that's done it before. You probably want to find somebody that not only has done it before, but also understands how Azure works. Because there's one thing to be an expert in Sentinel. There's a whole other conversation about being an expert in how Azure actually works. Because then you got to figure out, well, how do I do cost optimization? And how do I deal with Azure Log Analytics and Azure Monitor? And how do I do Azure Logic Apps and all of these other things? If all you know is Sentinel, but you don't know these other things in Azure, you're probably not going to have a good Sentinel deployment, right? And you're not going to get the ROI that you need. So the track record is really important. And one of the maybe key questions there, if the partner is open to telling you, is, well, how much Azure consumed revenue are you influencing? Because if you know if that partner is influencing Azure consumed revenue, you know that they're helping customers adopt the Azure services, meaning they're a good partner. Same on the Microsoft 365 side. How much monthly active usage are you influencing for Defender for Endpoint? If it's a large number and they're influencing that on a monthly perspective, they're a good partner because they're helping those customers adopt it and get the value out of it. So there's many questions you can ask. And then also you can go out to the Microsoft Marketplace, Azure Marketplace, AppSource, you can find solutions. But, it's really kind of interview process and understanding, what solution designations do you have? Do you have a specialization? But what's your track record look like? And do you actually understand how this stuff really works? And what kind of companies have you deployed at in the past? It's a hard thing to navigate. Andrew, Ed, Rod, I'd love to hear your guys' perspective.
Well, I was just thinking it makes it, for a partner anyway, it makes it a little bit more difficult, I believe, because they have to have all of those skill sets. And that's another reason why some of them don't appear to be exceptional partners, because they don't have that one skill set or something. In Microsoft, right? If I'm a Sentinel person and we need somebody for cost, we just go get that cost person on the call and we cover that cost stuff. So we have that capability. In a partner situation, in a partner scenario, they may not have that skill set. They may have to learn it. So, right, it is a little bit more difficult to.
Do you find yourself working with customers? When I say customers, I mean your customers or your partners that have a dedicated Microsoft Alliance partner of a sort. I'm sure some of them do that. That's a title. That's their job, and they still utilize your service, right? Because they
absolutely
another set of eyes.
Absolutely, it's like we're helping them be successful. So if we can be on the back end for that alliance manager and help them navigate all of this, it's making them look good. And it's actually beneficial for us to have somebody at the partner that somewhat understands Microsoft partnerships, because then they can go and work with the leadership at that company to make all the right decisions and help get all the right things lined up. So yeah, there's a lot of them we work with that have that role. And there's even some partners that have 10 or 20 people that do that role. And there's other partners that they don't have anybody. And sometimes in those cases, we actually kind of staff aug, we can be their Microsoft Alliance manager. We also have partners that have great relationships with Microsoft, and we're kind of that go-between as well to help advise them on, here's the kind of questions you want to ask your points of contact at Microsoft. Here's how you want to speak their language, right? So like if you think about something like Teams and Teams Phone, the partner may say VoIP. They may say Unified Communications. Well, on the Microsoft side, that's Teams Phone. That's Teams Phone system, right? They may speak XDR, but on the Microsoft side, well, which XDR? Microsoft 365 Defender or Defender for Cloud? So, we also kind of help be that go-between to make sure that they're asking the right questions and speaking the same language.
I'll just say real quick too, Henrik, just back to the original question of how do you pick a good partner? The recommendations of other people, whether that's talking, if you are a Microsoft customer, talking to your Microsoft account team. Again, sometimes, you get a good one, sometimes you don't, but, if you go to user groups, ask around, who do they like, and finding out, to me, that's the best way to find those new partners. Because you can certainly go search the internet, but finding people that who've used them is always, to me, the best way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew's 120% correct on that. Personal reference goes a long way, right? If someone has had successful deployment, or not even deployment, partners that have pulled their customers' butt out of the fire when something's absolutely going sideways, right? And they need help, right? You need those type of partners. So
go ahead. Sorry.
I spent at least 60% of my career only working at partners, VARs, LARs, LSEs, and stuff. So I've been inundated in that Microsoft ecosystem, and before then, Cisco and all these other places, right? So the Microsoft partner ecosystem is probably one of the more. It is the most complicated one to be able to do it. Yeah.
What's interesting is some of the most successful Microsoft partners I've seen, and some of the ones that really stand out to customers, are ones that specialize. So if all they do is security, but within security, all they do is the old EMS stack, that says a lot. And I know several partners that all they do is security. They turn down all other work because that's just not who they are. Mm-hmm. They focus on security. I know other partners that all they do is maybe security, but for health and life sciences. So they're really, really, really good at that vertical, and they're really good at that technology specialization layer. So just that's kind of another way for partners to set themselves apart from others is, can you specialize? And it's hard to do that. It's hard to turn down work. It's hard to, not try to do everything and be all things to all people, because it's so attractive, right? Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to do that. But you could actually be more successful when you specialize. It's just like a doctor, right? You could be a general practitioner and make a good living, or you can be a ear, nose, and throat doctor and probably make way more money and get all the referrals from the general practitioner, right?
Yeah. I mean, the topic of finding a good partner and what partners will and won't, we've seen it. And so, but hey, you're a business owner now and entrepreneur guy, and you wear a lot of hats. So we're not going to commandeer all your time, because you still probably got, well, you're not on any work hours anymore. You work 27,485 a year now. So, but if you ever need anything from old Eddie, man, you know how to find me. Hit me up.
You bet.
Congrats, man.
Thank
I
you.
wish nothing but the best. I know a couple of people in your company already, especially as Microsoft guys. So I really, 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 really am rooting for you.
Thank you.
It is personal. So
Thank you.
anybody else, any questions from the peanut gallery out there that's listening, watching to us? Nothing? All right. Well, thanks for listening to the Microsoft Security Insights Pod Show. Thanks again to our, special co-host and award winner Hendrik, and Matt Soseman, the Source Man. Keep doing what you do, brother.
Thank you.
Partner master.
Yep. So proud.
All right,
Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on. This was such a
Yep.
treat.
Thanks for
Mhm.
Hi,
coming on.
everybody.
Thank
See you all next week.
See ya.